Well, there are two complex things here. Nationalism linked to imperialism, post-colonialism, etc. But I think that in the artistry world, we have something else, that is the tradition to think the artwork within a national framework. This is a problem. I mean, this is a problem. If, for example, I discuss many times with curators in museums, and they tell me, in the matter of architecture, it's the same thing with painting, sculpture, or whatever. In which rubric, which category I put that artist? And I say, well, there are some people who are French-born, but then German living, and then maybe something else. I mean, and all throughout the 20th century, already in the 19th century, where people did not have passports, and moreover, in the 20th century, when frontiers, when boundaries were moving and people were crossing boundaries, you cannot say that's a Turkish thing or that. It's much more, you know. So, and I think we need to free ourselves from the nationalist project. It was important. It has a purpose. It served. I mean, the countries that were liberating themselves from colonialism. It served maybe the museums to get order in their collections. Okay, but I think we just have to drop all this. Now it's over. I mean, we really have to look beyond. I mean, is it adding something to say? You know, no. So.
Let me again ground the discussion back into an example from the exhibition. So we're talking about Mahmoud Mukhtar. You know that the final version of Egypt Awakening, which became the official version, is the result of 19 different attempts. That was not the first model. And if you look at the first model, it was a totally neoclassical sculpture that had nothing to do with Egypt. This is new research that has not been published yet. There's 19 different attempts that Mukhtar did before he actually reached Egypt Awakening. And what's very interesting is that he started with a European model, or a neoclassical model, and bit by bit, as he was working on it, one could argue that he realized that making it look pharaonic is going to give him a certain status that he could not otherwise have achieved, and a certain kind of patronage that he could otherwise have not achieved. Another example, the rhetoric around Mukhtar goes that he is actually the first Egyptian artist to study at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris. Mahmoud Mukhtar was never admitted to the school. And again, this is new research that you will find in the catalogue of the exhibition. He was in Paris studying under Couthon, who was a sculptor that was a professor at the École, but it was customary at the time for artists that these professors agreed to have in their class to actually train there and prepare them for the entrance exam. He was prepared for an entrance exam, but he never submitted an entrance exam and he never graduated. Yet, at the same time, there was another Egyptian artist, and when we went to the École and we did the research in the records, called Ayman al-Dessouki. I have never heard of Ayman al-Dessouki in my life before, nor has anybody, I'm sure, heard of Ayman al-Dessouki, who was studying sculpture at the École des Beaux-Arts. Not in the Couthon, but in the school. He was an official student. Who is that person and why is he lost? And why did Mukhtar become the hero? It's not to put down the work of Mukhtar. His work is beautiful, and we've seen some of the sculptures, the Khamsin, the Qaylula, they are amazing sculptures. But just to say that the discussion is definitely influenced by a certain agenda, by a certain political narrative that is makes Mukhtar more valuable if he was the first student to study at the École des Beaux-Arts. To finish with another example, it's important again to talk about the complexities within, we're taking Egypt as an example. And again, in the 1930s and the 1940s, a younger generation, a second generation of artists start working in Cairo. They were not all Egyptians, predominantly Egyptian. They were Hungarian, they were Spanish, they were Russian, they were British, and they called themselves the Art and Liberty Movement. They predominantly looked at Surrealism for inspiration, although they were not all working in a Surrealist style. And in their discussion, in the pamphlets, manifestos, journals that they published at Tatawur, Le Parc du Sable, things that you see in the exhibition here, they completely denounced this affiliation of artists and nationalism. And they actually critiqued people like Mukhtar, people like Saeed, who are until now considered the most amazing artists ever. Although Saeed did exhibit with them a few times, they were adopting a lot of models from different places without calling themselves European or Egyptian or whatever. Their catalogs insisted on not mentioning the nationality of the artist, and that's in the 30s and the 40s. It's not surprising, therefore, that today, if you look at all the art history books that are written by Egyptian art historians, up until the 70s, 80s, and since then there has never been any new material, they consider them as the weak, not so exciting, not such great artists, particularly because they were probably creating a voice of dissent and criticizing the national heroes in terms of who the great artists were. So, again, what we're trying to do in the exhibition, what all of the scholars who are here are trying to do in their work, is revisit these narratives. Salwa, Nada, Saleh in your own way, a lot of people are trying to revisit these narratives in order to put our fingers on, okay, what is fact and what is myth? What is real and what is not? To be self-critical, not only say, oh, the West did this, we are, they are the big bad hero, but also to take responsibility in a sense. And in a way, while the exhibition is really reveling in beautiful art, you walk around, and I hope that you enjoy what you see just on a visual level, even if you don't get to listen and study all the layers. At the same time, it is a very political show, but not political. Let's do something about the revolution. Let's take the artists and make them talk about politics and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the bad West. I mean, again, they're very simplistic, but it is very political on a much more complex, I think, scale.
And as a matter